While traveling, my fiancée was placed under a strange curse. She had to unite with someone of a pure Yang sacred body within 7 days. Otherwise, the curse would take her life. To secure financial support from the Bai family as quickly as possible, my parents lied and claimed that I was the pure Yang chosen one. The wedding was moved up. After their wedding night, Bai Weiwei suddenly collapsed and died. Afraid the Bai family would blame them, my parents cut ties with me overnight and handed me over to the Bai family. I was brutally maimed and thrown into a pit filled with venomous snakes. Just before the end, I saw Bai Weiwei, who was supposed to be gone, walk in arm with my stepbrother. She wore a smug smile. Yichen, you were right. Only after he is gone can we be together openly. And no one will fight you for the inheritance. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on my wedding day. I knocked Yichen out immediately and made him wear my wedding clothes and take my place in the bridal chamber. This time, they would learn what happens when they provoke the Myrojiang's sacred air. Why is it you, after last night? Bai Nianwei's scream shattered the quiet morning. Weiwei, I don't know either. Zhang Yichen was shaken awake from sleep, seeing the two of them barely covered. He froze in shock. Last night, someone knocked me out and drugged me. Then my whole body started burning up. Don T panic. It's not like you were truly affected. My brother probably drank too much and passed out outside last night. I'll carry him in later. After calming down, she lazily pulled him back to lie down and wanted to linger a little longer. I sneered to myself and kicked the door open. I swung my fist straight into his face and deliberately raised my voice as I roared, Zhang Yichen, you knocked me out last night and took advantage of your future sister-in-law. Do you even realize that if she doesn't spend the night with me, the pure Yang vessel, the curse could claim her life? I knocked out one of his teeth. He sprawled on the floor in a sorry state. Bai Nianwei's brows tightened instantly. She hastily pulled on her clothes, rushed over, shoved me aside, and shouted, stop. Who do you think you are? Touch him again and see what happens. I lost my footing and crashed into a large vase. The loud, clattering noise woke everyone in the rear courtyard. Bai's father rushed over in a panic when he saw their disheveled appearance. He immediately understood what had happened. His face darkened, and he slapped Zhang Yichen hard. Then he ordered the bodyguards to tie him up. You Zhang brat, you must have seduced my daughter and made her miss the best chance to break the curse. I'll make you pay today. Hearing that, Zhang Yichen shuddered involuntarily. His face went pale as paper. The Bai family had underworld ties, and their methods were enough to terrify anyone. Bai Nianwei panicked. She hurriedly grabbed her father's arm. Dad, this has nothing to do with Yichen. Please let him go. But Father Bai was clearly furious. He directly ordered the bodyguards to pull her away. Wait, my father suddenly barged in. As he passed by me, he shot me a vicious glare. In law, there must be some misunderstanding here. Maybe Yichen was framed. As he spoke, my father gave Zhang Yichen a look. He instantly straightened his back, pointed at me with a wounded expression. My brother thought the Bai family's dowry was too small. He didn't want to marry Weiwei, so he drugged me and made me take his place. My father looked at me with disgust, then bent over backward to flatter Father Bai. In law, this ungrateful son of mine doesn't know right from wrong. Even if you get rid of him, I feel sorry. Please Don T, take it out on Yichen and ruin the cooperation between our families. After saying that, he kicked me without hesitation. You disgrace. Kneel down and apologize to President Bai. This marriage was arranged while your mother was still alive. If you back out now, how can you face her? I stood there without moving. I stared straight at him, my gaze cold as ice. My mother died of illness when I was still very young. Only 3 days after she passed, he impatiently married Lan Zukin. She even brought Zhang Yichen, my stepbrother, into the family. Only I knew that Zhang Yichen was actually the child they had from an affair long ago. For years, they had tried every possible way to persuade me. to give up the Bai family engagement on my own, so their illegitimate son could latch onto the Bai family. Before you convict me, you should watch the surveillance footage first. I smiled meaningfully, opened my phone, and connected to the camera in my room. The footage showed that last night, Zhang Yichen sneaked into my room and knocked me out, changed into my wedding outfit, and came here to spend the night with Bai Nianwei. Everyone present turned pale with shock. Impossible, Wai Wei. I really didn't do it. Zhang Yichen stared wide-eyed in disbelief, shaking his head furiously. A wave of rage surged through Father Bai. He grabbed Zhang Yichen by the throat with one hand and lifted him off the floor. His fingers tightened. You little wretch. You harmed my daughter and still dare to lie to me. I ought to end you right now. Wai Wei, save me. Zhang Yichen struggled to breathe. His face turned dark red. Bai Nianwei panicked so badly, she stamped her feet. With a thud, she dropped to her knees before Father Bai. Dad, I was never cursed at all. I am perfectly healthy. Please let Yichen go. I'll tell you the truth. The one I love is Yichen. I never wanted to marry. He's Ziran. And he isn't any pure Yang sacred body either. Father Bai froze. At the same moment, Bai Nianwei suddenly went pale. She coughed up a mouthful of blood. How could this happen? She stared in horror, unable to process it for a long moment. She was the Bai family's treasured only daughter. Father Bai doted on her endlessly. He immediately wanted to send her to the hospital, but unexpectedly, she claimed she hated the smell of disinfectant in hospitals and refused to go no matter what. After much persuasion, she only agreed to see a traditional doctor. Only I knew that she was carrying Zhang Yichen's child and was afraid it would be discovered. What she did not know was that one kind of curse could be passed from a man to a woman through intimacy, and Zhang Yichen was the perfect carrier. Father Bai invited a well-known barefoot healer nearby, Yeshu, to come over. After examining her carefully, he wrote one sentence on a sheet of paper. Miss Bai, within 3 days, you must unite with the pure Yang sacred body, or the curse will take your life. Father Bai immediately knelt before me. Ziran, I'll give you the Bai family's shares and real estate. Please save my daughter. I glanced at Bai Nianwei and nodded slowly. Uncle Bai, Nianwei and I already have an engagement. Of course, I am willing. The next second, a glass flew toward me. I dodged it easily. It shattered across the floor. Bai Nianwei's emotions exploded along with it, a toad dreaming of swan meat. You're nothing but an extra in the He family. If you dare marry me, I'll ruin you first. I said I wasn't cursed, so I wasn't cursed. That whole pure Yang sacred body story was something Uncle He and I made up to frame He Ziran. The only one I truly love is Yichen. He's the one the He family cherishes. I would never marry someone as filthy and unwanted as you. Hearing that, I clenched my fists. By chance, I looked up and met my father's eyes. He guiltily looked away. A chill spread through my heart. Even a tiger does not eat its own cub. Father Bai cut her off sharply. Enough nonsense. The doctor says you are cursed. How will we know unless we try? I've watched this boy grow up. He has barely ever been sick since childhood. His Yang energy must be strong. Hearing the unquestionable tone in his voice, Bai Nianwei glared at me with hatred, as if she wished she could tear me apart. Zhang Yichen, who had remained silent until now, suddenly knocked Yeshu's hat off. Then he shoved Yeshu forward before Father Bai. Uncle Bai, you can trust a mute's words. He used to be my brother's birth mother's assistant. Later, he was kicked out of the He family for stealing. Now, he must be helping my brother to cheat the Bai family out of its assets. Someone without a proper medical license. Shouldn't he be believed? Why not call the police and have him taken away? Father Bai studied Yeshu thoughtfully, his expression slightly dazed. Yeshu really had been my mother's assistant before she passed. For a moment, Father Bai grew uncertain. Seeing his hesitation, Zhang Yichen raised his brows at me smugly, and roughly dragged Yeshu outside. Yeshu could not lie, and his mind was not entirely steady either. He was frightened into confusion. Let him go. Furious, I rushed forward and shoved Zhang Yichen aside. Unexpectedly, he took the chance to fall onto the broken vase shards. His hands were cut and bleeding badly. Ah, it hurts, Yichen. Bai Nianwei flew into a rage from embarrassment. She screamed, jumped off the bed, and raised her hand at me. He's Ziran. You little bastard. If Yichen is hurt, I'll make you pay tenfold. I smiled coldly. Quick as lightning, I caught her wrist. The next instant, my face took a sharp slap. My father pointed at my nose and cursed at me. You ungrateful thing. Yichen is the treasure I hold closest. Are you trying to destroy your own younger brother? You keep scheming to bring Yichen down, just so you can fight him for the inheritance, Don Tiu. Then I'll make it clear right now. From now on, you will get nothing. I licked the blood from the corner of my mouth. My eyes turned so cold they could freeze someone in place. The He family had only become what it was today because of my mother's dowry. Sooner or later, I would take back everything that belonged to me. While I was momentarily distracted, Bai Nianwei forcefully broke free from my grip and had the bodyguards throw Yeshu and me out. That night, the Bai family brought in another herbal doctor to examine her. He prescribed 2 doses of medicine. Amazingly, Bai Nianwei's coughing blood actually stopped. Father Bai finally felt some relief. Unable to withstand her repeated pleading, he called me into his study. Ziran, although you and Weiwei are engaged, a marriage still requires mutual feelings. Since Weiwei has given her heart to your younger brother, perhaps we should just let this go. There is really no need for those gloomy tricks. That could damage the harmony between our families. Father Bai spoke politely, but his dislike for me was written all over his face. He was only a step away from calling me a fraud outright. I held the annulment papers, but kept my gaze on Bai Nianwei's face. Nianwei, you really are cursed. I am the only one who can save you. The herbal medicine only suppressed it for now. After some time passes, it will multiply wildly inside your body and start consuming your mind and organs. Bai Nianwei rolled her eyes impatiently, a mocking smile tugging at her lips. You claim you are pure Yang's sacred body, and now you're addicted to lying through your teeth. If such a thing truly exists in this world, I'll twist off my own head and let you use it as a stool. Sign the annulment papers. That was exactly what I had been waiting to hear. Without hesitation, I signed my name on the annulment agreement. Before leaving, I looked at her with a half smile. Bai Nianwei, you'd better not regret this. She snorted disdainfully. Get lost. Whoever regrets it can suffer for all I care. I turned away with a cold smile, leaving behind a meaning she failed to notice. When I returned to the front gate of my home, my father would not even let me step inside. He coldly flung a severance agreement into my face. Sign it. All you do is throw this family into chaos. I did not care. Without a word, I signed my name. The next day, after Yeshu learned that I had been driven out, he came over in anger to make a scene. Unexpectedly, Bai Nianwei happened to be at the He residence, discussing plans to hold the wedding again. She furiously ordered us out. Standing on the steps with her hands on her hips, every word and movement radiated smug confidence. Yesterday, you told me not to regret it. Today, you rushed here with someone to snatch me away. That slap in the face came awfully fast. A forced melon isn't sweet. Even if you're obsessed with me, I can never return your feelings. And don't even think of using underhanded methods to ruin things between Yichen and me. It won work. I will never spare you another glance. I was so angry, I almost laughed. More and more onlookers gathered nearby. I fired back without mercy. Have some shame. Who said I came here for you? Instead of flattering yourself here, you should hurry and hold the wedding. Wait too long, and your belly won't be easy to hide. At that, Bai Nianwei's expression changed drastically. She hurriedly covered her lower abdomen with her hand. Her face flushed red, then turned pale, and even her voice sharpened. You filthy mutt, What nonsense are you spouting? Seize them now. Since your mouth is so foul, then make sure you can never spread lies again. She ordered the bodyguards to throw Yeshu and me into a trunk and take us to the outskirts to bury us alive. On the way, I secretly took out a tiny Bluetooth earpiece and dialed a number I knew by heart. Grandfather. IV made up my mind. I am willing to return to the Myro family with you. An hour later, the car stopped in a deserted woodland on the outskirts. The men guarding us had barely stepped out of the car when a group of highly trained men in black swiftly took them down. The trunk opened. The black-clad men knelt before me in unison. Welcome back to Myrojiang, young master. I helped Yeshu out of the trunk. Turning back, I glanced at the distant city lights. A cold smile curved at my lips. By Nianwei. We will meet again. And when that time comes, you will beg me. 1 month later, Bai Nianwei discovered in terror that something was changing inside her abdomen. She had held a grand wedding with Zhang Yichen. During that time, her body grew weaker day by day. She fainted several times. She vomited constantly, felt dizzy, and her abdomen swelled as if it had been inflated. She assumed it was a normal reaction to pregnancy and insisted on going out of town for their honeymoon. After all, she did not want anyone to know she had conceived before marriage. When they passed through the Yanangishu Plateau region, even though she was supposedly only 3 months along, her stomach had grown as round as a ball. She could no longer walk. Zhang Yichen had no choice but to rent a guest house so she could rest. While they were checking in, she was suddenly hit by a wave of nausea. With a retch, she vomited a large pile of something onto the floor. The moment she saw what had come out, she fell to the ground in terror. Her scalp went numb. Help me, what is happening? Zhang Yichen turned around at her cry. His pupils widened instantly, and he staggered backward in fright. On the floor, black worms writhed through the blood, spreading densely in every direction. The sight sent chills down anyone's spine. Yichen. My stomach hurts so much. Did I disturb the baby somehow? Bai Nianwei felt a sharp cramping pain in her abdomen, and fine beads of sweat gathered on her forehead. The guest house owner was a well-known local goo healer in the village. After hearing the commotion, she hurried over. The moment she took one look, her expression changed drastically. She quickly crouched down and checked Bai Nianwei's pulse. Zhang Yichen was so frightened, he lost all composure. He shrank to the side and looked at the old woman for help. Granny, what's wrong with my wife? She's only 3 months pregnant, but her belly looks almost full term. And those things on the floor, the worms left him shaken to the core. He could not bring himself to continue. The goo healer looked at Bai Nianwei with a grave expression and said slowly, she is not pregnant. She has been afflicted by goo. What? Bai Nianwei was horrified. She nearly lost consciousness from the shock. Zhang Yichen was just as terrified. His voice trembled as he asked, then what can we do? You're a goo healer. You should be able to cure her, right? The old woman shook her head. Her brows were tightly furrowed. I have never seen goo this overbearing before. Her abdomen and even her head are full of goo worms. I cannot cure this. After a brief pause, she added, perhaps our young master can. He possesses the pure yang sacred body. He may have a way. Bai Nianwei finally came back to her senses. A strange feeling stirred in her heart. She suddenly asked, who is your young master? Does such a pure yang sacred body really exist? The old woman nodded, as if remembering something. She carefully took my photo from her pocket. Our young master lives in the great stockade on the hillside. My legs are not good, so I cannot guide you there. Go find him yourselves. You must hurry, or even the heavens may not be able to save you. And here, this is his photo. The moment they saw my picture, both of them froze in place and cried out together. He's Ziran. The old woman hurriedly nodded. Seeing their reaction, her gaze grew friendlier. Yes, so you know our young master. He only returned not long ago. Following the old woman's directions, they found me smoothly. The two of them stared at me, as if they wanted to bore a hole straight through my face. He's Ziran. You're still alive. Bai Nianwei was the first to recover. Her vicious gaze shot toward me like needles. I knew you were following me. To force me to bow my head to you. You even had someone tamper with my food. Then hired people to act along with you, putting on this whole young master of Myrojiang farce. How despicable. I did not bother explaining. I merely cast a meaningful glance toward Zhang Yichen. My mother was the saintess of this place. Would I really need to hire actors? If you don't believe me, ask him. Ever since Zhang Yichen saw me, he had not been himself. He was so nervous, even his eyelashes seemed to tremble. Feeling Bai Nianwei's questioning gaze on him, he forced a laugh and pulled her toward the exit. He even smugly raised his phone. That's right, but we live in a civilized society now. Gu curses don't exist. He must have teamed up with the people here and fed you something unclean. To deceive you. Don't be afraid. I'll call for a helicopter right now and take you to a major hospital. They reached the hospital as quickly as possible. The doctor frowned repeatedly while looking over the test results. There is no pregnancy, just irregular menstruation. But there are large numbers of worms in both the abdomen and brain. We cannot determine the exact cause. You should transfer to another hospital for further examination, because she was afraid others would learn she had conceived before marriage and damage the Bai family's reputation. After a home pregnancy test showed positive, she never once went to the hospital for a checkup. Now she learned that not only was she not pregnant, her body was also filled with disgusting worms. For reasons she could not explain, she suddenly remembered what I had once told her. Bai Nianwei fainted from sheer fear. After returning to the Bai residence, Father Bai gathered countless specialists for consultations, but none could offer an effective treatment plan. The news that she had supposedly conceived before marriage and was now filled with worms spread on its own. It became gossip for people to discuss after meals. No wonder she switched grooms. So she cheated. She even carried another man's child while engaged. What child? It was a belly full of black worms. I heard they even crawl out of her mouth from time to time. How disgusting. I say this is payback for being so faithless. The rumors soon spread throughout the entire city. Father Bai's hair turned white overnight from worry. Why could you really have been poisoned? Why don't you go back and ask Ziren to try? Your life matters most. By then, Bai Nianwei looked gaunt and exhausted. Her abdomen had swollen to the point it seemed ready to split. She was so weak, she could barely open her eyes. Terrified, she nodded faintly. Even though Zhang Yichen was unwilling in every possible way, he did not dare openly defy Father Bai. He swallowed his anger and obediently brought Bai Nianwei back to the Myro stockade. This time, she knelt before me while cradling her swollen abdomen, pleading humbly. There was no trace left of her former arrogance. No doctor can cure this illness of mine. Please think of a way to save me. I turned away from the window and looked down at the top of her head. A faint smile curved at the corner of my mouth. Fine, but you must agree to one condition. I want you to help me retrieve my mother's dowry from the He family. Back then, my grandfather had opposed my mother marrying my father, but he could not resist her pleading. He reluctantly gave his consent and provided her with a generous dowry for security. Unexpectedly, my father had been after that dowry from the start. After my mother died, he immediately took every last bit of it. To please Lan Zuking. Now, if I wanted my mother's belongings returned, I could only rely on the Bai family to pressure my father. No, Zhang Yichen finally lost his patience. Ignoring Bai Nianwei's physical condition, he pulled her up and tried to leave. He kept talking as though he were in the right. Wei, he's taking advantage of your crisis. He wants to swallow up the He family fortune and leave me with nothing. Trust me. I will definitely find a doctor who can cure you. Bai Nianwei was already racked with pain. Just kneeling to beg me for help had used up all her strength. Now that he yanked her up so roughly, she curled in agony. Her anger flared instantly. Zhang Yichen, let go of me. Do you want to watch me die? His face flushed bright red. Irritably, he shook her by the shoulders, using the movement to hide his guilty conscience. Why would you think that of me? Would I ever harm you? You humiliated him. Do you think he would truly save you out of kindness? Wake up. Don T let him use you, already unwell. She grew dizzy from Zhang Yichen's shaking. Her whole body cramped, and nausea surged violently. She widened her eyes and gagged several times. With a retch, she vomited up a dark mass. A sharp, foul odor instantly filled the room. I can hold on much longer. This is my only chance to live. She suddenly roared, then crawled desperately to my feet, driven by pure survival instinct. Zhang Yichen was stunned by the sight. After hesitating briefly, he hardened his heart and moved to drag her away. Save me. Bai Nianwei no longer had the strength to resist. She was pulled out the door by him, just like that. At that moment, regret struck her deeply. The black-clad bodyguards at the doorway caught my signal. With a single move, they subdued Zhang Yichen and brought Bai Nianwei back. Yeshu hurried over and checked her eyelids. He immediately ordered someone to prepare a bowl of medicinal soup and feed it to her. As the medicine took effect, she expelled a basinful of black worms. Her abdomen finally shrank back down. After sleeping for 3 days, she gradually woke up. She looked much more spirited as well. After learning that I had saved her, she looked at me with a complicated expression. After a long silence, her eyes inexplicably reddened. Thank you, Ziran. Don T, forget my condition. I cut her off coldly and had someone escort her out of the stockade. Nianwei, he must have poisoned you. That must be why he had the antidote. The He family's success today comes from years of effort by my mother and Uncle He in the business world. You can let him fool you, or use you. On the way back, Zhang Yichen followed behind her anxiously. Bai Nianwei finally grew tired of his chatter and shot him a sharp glance. At the end of the day, he was the one who saved me, not you, Zhang Yichen. What exactly have you ever done for me when I was suffering so badly? All you cared about was protecting your own interests. In your eyes, am I worth less than the dirty money in your pocket? The disgust in her eyes frightened Zhang Yichen so badly that he barely dared to breathe. An invisible chasm formed completely between them. 1 week later, Bai Nianwei indeed kept her promise. The Bai family forced the He family to hand over all of my mother's dowry. Ziran, IV recovered everything that belonged to your mother. And here are the business records showing how the He family expanded using her dowry over the years. It's all here. After I pulled Bai Nianwei back from the brink, she seemed to become a different person. She was completely unmoved by Zhang Yichen's eager attempts to please her and spent all day clinging around me instead. Thank you. I accepted the bank card and document pouch she handed over. For once, I gave her a faint smile. Her face flushed in surprise, and she was moved nearly to tears. No need to thank me. If there's anything else I can help with, just tell me. I'll be staying in the stockade for the next few days. After saying that, even the tips of her ears turned red. Then she turned and ran. Watching her hurriedly retreating figure, the smile on my face faded. It was replaced by a cold look. I handed the documents to Yeshu, who had been waiting nearby, and calmly instructed him. We have what we need. It's time to avenge my mother. Since childhood, my father had always told me that my mother died from overwork and illness. Only later, when I happened to run into Yeshu, my mother's former assistant, on the street, did he tell me that my mother had been killed by my father and Lan Zuking using a slow-acting poison. I accidentally discovered the truth behind your mother's death. Your father, He jinxing, feared the matter would be exposed, so he ordered men to stab me repeatedly, to silence me. Luckily, I survived by pretending to be mentally impaired afterward. Young master, we live in a society ruled by law now. We cannot act recklessly and drag your grandfather into this. We must obtain proof of He jinxing's crimes and bring him to justice to gather evidence of He jinxing's wrongdoing. Yeshu and I had worked together inside and outside the family for years, uncovering all of his crimes. Now, only this decisive proof in my hands had been missing. The next day, I personally went to the guest house where Bai Nianwei was staying and asked her to help me report he jinxing and Lan Zuking for poisoning my mother, as well as his illegal fundraising and lending, misappropriation of company funds, bribery, and other crimes to the authorities. Meanwhile, Yashu joined forces with my mother's former subordinates to file real name reports online and push the matter into the public eye. He jinxing was enraged beyond measure. That very night, he stormed into the stockade demanding answers. He Zeran, I'll destroy you today, you little beast. So your wings have hardened now, have they? Do you know why I never liked you? Because you read just as lowborn as your mother. He had come with a full 60 cars. They rolled into the stockade in a long convoy. Everyone who stepped out looked fierce and carried blades like desperados. Today, I'll wipe this stockade off the map. Let us see how arrogant you can stay then. I stepped out unhurriedly. I looked at him as though he were already finished. He jinxing, you and I signed a severance agreement. So whether you live or fall has nothing to do with me. The moment I finished speaking, every thug he had brought was swiftly subdued by the bodyguards my grandfather had assigned to me. For a moment, heavy bodies hit the ground one after another around us, and then were quietly taken away. What? He realized something was wrong. The instant he turned around, the police who had arrived placed him in handcuffs, on charges including killing his wife for power, illegal fundraising, and other offenses. He and Lan Zuking were lawfully arrested. Everyone involved in illegal fundraising and unlawful lending was investigated as well. Still, he jinxing had kept one last card hidden. He used every connection he had built over his life to protect Zhang Yichen. Overnight, Zhang Yichen went from a rich young master to a despised fugitive hiding in the shadows. Every day, he could only stay hidden in the Bai residence and dared not go outside. By then, he fully understood his awkward position. He tried every possible way to please Bai Nianwei. Wai Wei, your birthday is coming soon. Let me take you overseas for a vacation. Wai Wei, why have you been ignoring me lately? Did I do something wrong? Now my brother has driven me into homelessness. You re the only family I have left. Are you going to abandon me too? Seeing Bai Nianwei grow more and more impatient with him, he decided to gamble everything on one final move. With reddened eyes, he pitifully dragged his luggage toward the door. He never expected that, instead of being asked to stay, he would be met with divorce papers. Bai Nianwei flung the agreement straight into his face and ordered the servants to gather up everything he had used and burn it all. Before you leave, sign the divorce papers. A selfish opportunist like you only lowers himself when he needs something from me. I already know Zeran is the one who truly treated me well. Hurry up and divorce me. I am going to win him back. Zhang Yichen's face turned ghostly pale. He hurriedly dropped to his knees before her. For the first time, he let go of his pride as a man and placed all his hopes on the feelings they once shared. What he failed to understand was that he had already squandered every bit of that affection. Please Don T do this, okay? Wai Wei, I know I was wrong. Please Don T give up on me at a time like this. Bai Nianwei kicked him away in disgust. If you refuse to sign, I'll report your whereabouts to the police and have you thrown into prison too. No, I'll sign, knowing she was not joking. Zhang Yichen tearfully signed the divorce agreement. After completing the divorce procedures as quickly as possible, Bai Nianwei brought the divorce certificate over and waved it before me. Zeran, I've already divorced Zhang Yichen. I know I was wrong before. I'll work hard to make you love me again. And she meant it. She directly bought the guest house, had a helicopter transport all of her luggage over, and came to my door every day to cook and tidy the place. No matter how I pushed her away, she refused to leave. Miss Bai, our engagement has already been cancelled. Looking at the delicate, appetizing dishes on the table, I had no appetite at all. I had no choice but to remind her once again. Yet she cheerfully pulled me down to sit at the table, completely ignoring my icy attitude. She eagerly served food onto my plate. Ziren, hurry and try it. She looked at me with anticipation, even sticking out her tongue playfully. So what if there's no engagement? You saved my life. Isn't it only right that I offer myself to you? I did not touch the utensils. Instead, I looked at her with a faint, unreadable smile. Who told you your goo had been completely cured? At that, Bai Nianwei's expression changed drastically. What do you mean by that? She silently stepped back several paces. The color drained rapidly from her face. The memory of black worms crawling all over her body overwhelmed her with terror. It pressed down on her so heavily she could barely breathe. I glanced at her indifferently before speaking in an unhurried tone. Have you ever heard of mother and child goo? Seeing her blank expression, I continued explaining. Last time, I only temporarily drove out the living goo worms from your body. There was no way to completely eliminate the remaining eggs inside you. As long as the mother goo remains alive, those eggs will continue to hatch over time into countless new child goo. At this point, I paused briefly and lowered my gaze to her lower abdomen. I exclaimed, Haven T, you noticed your belly has started growing again. She hurriedly looked down. Her pupils widened instantly. She revealed an expression of absolute horror. Her once flat abdomen had somehow swollen again to the size of a 3-month pregnancy. How could this be? I don't want to die. Save me. Ziren, please tell me who cursed me. Who carries the mother goo? She looked at me helplessly, crying with every word. Clearly, she now saw me as her only lifeline. I smiled. This goo is called the infatuation goo. Only through intimacy can the child goo be implanted in your body. Zhang Yichen's ambitions were never limited to fighting me for the He family inheritance. His true target was the Bai family's vast fortune. Otherwise, why did he stop me from saving you before? Wasn't it because he wanted to wait until you were gone, so he could inherit the Bai family assets openly? Perhaps from the very beginning, he never truly liked you at all. First, he did everything he could to seduce you. Once he had you, he intended to watch you suffer under the goo until the end. The more she thought about it, the more terrifying it became. She immediately set off back to the Bai residence. Miss, we investigated Mr. Zhang's phone contacts and found someone who is familiar with goo techniques. They have been in frequent contact recently. Bai Nianwei burned with rage. She ordered the bodyguards to tie him up and take him to the Bai family basement. He was beaten and abused day and night. I never placed goo on you. I was only asking out of curiosity. Please spare me. I really didn't do it. Zhang Yichen was stripped of his outer clothes and tied to a chair. A barbed iron chain tore into his flesh again and again. His whole body was covered in blood. He was barely still breathing. No matter how he tried to explain, no one believed him anymore. If you hand over a solution, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Bai Nianwei was furious beyond control. She had his tendons crippled and threw him into a pit filled with venomous snakes. Zhang Yichen's screams lasted through the night, yet still failed to cool Bai Nianwei's rage. By then, her abdomen had swollen completely. This time, it was even worse than before. Through the thin skin of her belly, countless tiny worms could be seen, churning inside. Every night, her head throbbed as if it would split. She suffered violent vomiting and diarrhea, all filled with those tiny black worms, both mentally and physically. The torment twisted her mind until she was nearly unrecognizable. Save me. Zhang Yichen was wrapped in venomous snakes and could not move at all. His weak cries for help drifted out from the pit in broken fragments. In the pitch-dark night, they sounded even more pitiful. I slowly walked into the pit area. Seeing his miserable state, I felt deeply satisfied. In my previous life, he had been the one who egged Bai Nianwei on to torment me like this. Now, at last, it was his turn to endure it. I clenched my fists, forcing down the fury in my heart. Then, while his mind was still unclear, I had Yeshu set his limbs back in place, inject antivenom in time, and dump him in the wilderness. Unfortunately, his lower body had been bitten by several venomous snakes and was permanently ruined. After waking up, he could not accept the fact that he had lost his manhood. He blamed every misfortune on Bai Nianwei. In a fit of rage, he anonymously submitted evidence of the Bai family's crimes to the authorities. After that, he vanished completely into the crowd. It was as though he had never existed at all. Even the police could not trace his whereabouts. The He family had dared to commit so many illegal acts only because the Bai family had been backing them. Back then, it was Bai Nianwei who pressured He Jinxing to spare Zhang Yichen's life, not daring to drag everyone down with him. The Bai family had fearlessly helped me move against the He family. Now Zhang Yichen had been pushed to the edge. In one move, he exposed all the Bai family's hidden crimes. The Bai family was placed under official investigation. Before Father Bai was arrested, he sent Bai Nianwei overseas overnight. Abroad, Bai Nianwei had no one to rely on. Her condition worsened with each passing day. She searched every medical institution she could find, but none had any answer for her illness. In less than a month, she had become frighteningly thin, yet her belly remained grotesquely swollen. Black worms came up from her mouth at any moment. A foul, indescribable odor clung to her body. The neighbors sensed something was wrong, afraid she might be carrying some infectious illness. They hurriedly called the police. Although she was later released without charges, she could not bear the strange looks from others. She called me countless times, begging for help, but I hung up and blocked every number. In utter despair, she risked returning to the country and tried sending 10,000 yuan to Zhang Yichen's account. Then she messaged him, "Yichen, my father left me 10 million. Let us go abroad and start over." Less than a minute after the transfer went through, Zhang Yichen's text came back, "Nianwei, I am a little short on cash right now. Send me 1 million first." In under 3 minutes, his phone received a transfer of 1 million yuan. At last, he completely dropped his guard. He directly arranged to meet her in the suburbs. When he arrived, he saw Bai Nianwei, whom he had not met in a long time. She looked terribly changed, like a withered old woman. Her hair hung sparsely from her head. Her once soft face had become deeply wrinkled. He frowned in disgust and gave her a careless nudge with his foot. "No wonder you came begging me to reconcile, looking like this. If only you had known better from the start. Where's the money?" Bai Nianwei stared at him for a long moment and calmly pointed toward a suitcase. Zhang Yichen had become desperate from poverty, and his eyes lit up at once. He blindly rushed over to rummage through it. "Ugly woman, did you really think I would still want you? Once I get my hands on your 10 million, do you think I lack beautiful women?" Suddenly, he let out a muffled groan of pain. He slowly lowered his head, his eyes widening in disbelief. Only then did he see a sharp blade buried in his chest. Bai Nianwei acted in one burst, driving the blade in with all her strength. Her grim face was twisted with madness. "Die." The book said only by killing the mother goo. Can I survive? Everything happened too suddenly. Zhang Yichen had no chance to resist. He collapsed unconscious. I took the opportunity to record the attack and anonymously sent the footage to the police, afraid he might not be finished. Bai Nianwei struck him several more times before finally stopping. After dealing with the scene, she stood up, panting heavily, only to hear police sirens drawing closer. Her legs instantly weakened with fear, her face filled with panic. "Run!" Before law enforcement arrived, I took her and fled. We ran deep into the mountains. At last, she could not run any farther. She dropped to the ground, gasping for breath. Once she finally calmed down, tears poured from her eyes. She pressed both hands tightly over her mouth, unable to believe everything before her. Ziren. Shock, disbelief, and guilt crossed her face again and again. In the end, all of it turned into deep regret. I truly regret everything. If I had not been seduced and deceived by Zhang Yichen, we would surely be living so happily now. I still remember when I fell from the swing as a child and split my head open. You were the one who ran all the way to carry me to the hospital. How did I become so blind and betray you?" Her regret did nothing to soften my heart. Looking toward the nearby brush, I suddenly said, "Then would you like to repay me?" Ziuran by Nyanway followed my gaze. She nearly screamed out loud. Her face turned pale as paper. A snake more than 3 meters long was slithering toward us. The snake blocked our path. Unless someone stayed behind as bait, neither of us would escape. "Ziuran, I am willing to protect you. You go first." Before she had even finished speaking, she picked up a branch and charged toward the snake as if ready to die. The snake nimbly dodged aside, then swiftly darted up and bit her leg. "Ah! It hurts," By Nyanway cried out in pain. Even then, she anxiously shouted in my direction, "Ziuran, run!" Amused, I walked over and crouched beside her. Then I suddenly reached out and seized the snake behind the head. I glanced at her and said with a light laugh, "Actually, you didn't need to use yourself as bait. This snake isn't venomous." In an instant, it was as though her soul had been drained away. She slumped to the ground. She even forgot how to breathe. Only her thin shoulders kept trembling. "Why did you toy with me?" Noticing that her breathing had grown difficult, I could not help feeling somewhat smug, but I quickly composed myself. I scooped her into my arms. "Don T speak. I'll take you to the hospital first. If I did not let her learn certain truths soon, it would be too late." But I kept that final thought to myself. At the hospital, after the examination, the doctor kept frowning. The snake was not venomous. Your shortness of breath is because parasites have invaded your brain. Parasites, not goo. Bai Nyanway was stunned for a long time before she finally found her voice. Her questioning gaze moved back and forth between the doctor and me. For a moment, she did not know whom to believe. The doctor scolded her in displeasure. "Miss, what era are we living in? How can you still believe in things like goo curses? Let me ask you, do you often eat raw sashimi? Your abdomen and brain are both infected with a new type of parasite. It is very difficult to detect in the early stage. As the symptoms worsen, it can be confirmed in the later stage. And that means your life is already at its final stage. There is no cure. Go home soon and make your arrangements." Bai Nyanway was completely stunned. Only belatedly did she remember that she truly did have the habit of eating sashimi at nearly every meal. She slumped against the headboard in despair. Her deeply sunken eyes looked hollow and silent. She stared straight at me, with nothing but despair and numbness in her gaze. Is what the doctor said true? Her voice was so faint it was nearly inaudible, just like her entire being. It seemed on the verge of breaking. I let out a soft laugh. "Hell, yes. You were never afflicted by goo at all. The medicine I had Yashu give you was merely a powerful anti-parasitic treatment that relieved symptoms without curing the root problem." At that moment, her world seemed to collapse. Tears streamed rapidly down her face. She curled up on the hospital bed, her teeth chattering from pain. With an unwilling growl, she said, "You're taking revenge on me." "No, my father once invited an herbal doctor for me. He clearly cured my illness already." Hearing that, I laughed even more. "Back then, you had only eaten too much cassava. That caused dizziness and nausea and irritated your digestive tract enough to make you cough up blood. That herbal doctor's medicine merely neutralized the cassava toxicity. He wanted to use your case to build his reputation, so he never told you the truth. Some time ago, after bragging about how brilliant his medical skills were, he was exposed as a fraud and reported to the authorities. In truth, I know nothing about goo at all. And I never placed goo on Zhang Yichen. It was only after I died in my previous life that I discovered Bai Nyanway had parasites inside her. After being reborn, I came up with this revenge plan that blurred truth and illusion. Liars, all of you are liars." Bai Nyanway suddenly broke down sobbing. She seemed almost crazed, clawing at her own hair, while her mind was collapsing. The police arrived. She was formally arrested on charges of taking another person's life because she had suffered a mental breakdown. The authorities could only place her in a psychiatric hospital. Sadly, in less than half a month, she died from her illness. I heard the parasites had hollowed out her internal organs. During the forensic examination, black worms were found beneath her skin. Warm sunlight fell over one corner of the cemetery. Looking at my mother's photo on the gravestone, I finally smiled in release. For the rest of my life, I had finally found peace and fulfillment in my heart.